Had to make sure you guys could see the t-shirt.
Well, that was a movie.
Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon and welcome to part 1 of 2 of surviving Barbenheimer. I just saw Barbie. I'm going to see Oppenheimer in a little bit over an hour, but we need to talk about Barbie first, which I was very excited to see, honestly. It was written and directed by Greta Gerwig. It was also co-written by Noah Baumbach. Both are very notable writers and directors. I hadn't seen anything by Greta Gerwig yet, but was very excited to. She did Lady Bird, which I've heard great things about. It's on my watch list. I haven't watched it yet. She also did the most recent remake of Little Women, which I didn't see. I've seen other versions, never saw her version, but once again, I've heard good things. And so I was excited to see one of her movies finally, because like I said, she's considered one to be the up-and-coming great auteurs of this generation. So I was excited to see what she would do, especially with something as different and unique as Barbie, making that into seemingly something somewhat philosophical, something artistic, something different. Ever since they did that trailer involving the 2001 parody, I was hooked. I knew I needed to see this movie. So before I get ahead of myself, it's also starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling as Barbie and Ken. It's also got Michael Cera doing his little role as Alan. There's a bunch of people in this, Will Ferrell too, but mainly Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are the people you need to know about. Before I get too far into the weeds here, I need to get this out of the way. Fuck you, Mattel. For anybody who's been subscribed to my channel for a while, you know I've done various reviews of various Barbie movies throughout the years, and they're always constantly breaking the law. They're always taking down my videos and claiming them, even though I'm following all the rules of fair use, doing it to a T. Nothing I'm doing is illegal, yet they are constantly doing everything in their power to fuck me over. So I just want to say fuck you, Mattel, and hopefully my latest drunk review of Barbie will be back up soon. That video should hopefully be back up by the time you're seeing this, but who knows? If it's not yet, please wait for it to get back up and then go over and give it a like, give it a comment. Even if you've already seen it, I'm having to re-upload it, so all of those likes and comments will be gone. Sorry to bust in here with that, but Mattel really sucks. And honestly, I never thought I'd say anything good about a Barbie movie, but I'll be damned. This movie was good. It was actually really good. Now, I will say it was close to being great. This movie was almost great, and that was a little frustrating because at first I would have said it was. The first half hour, first even maybe 45 minutes to an hour was great. And then it kind of started hitting some speed bumps. Maybe most notably, there's in the real world, if you haven't seen the trailers, Barbie goes to the real world. There is a mother and daughter character that she interacts with, and everything involving them kind of sucks. They're not well-written characters, and they're not great actors, just being honest. I'm sorry, and didn't enjoy anything involving them. Everything else in the movie, really good, and like I said, sometimes great. And so it was a little frustrating because I wanted this movie to be great because it started that way, didn't end that way, but I still, like I said, really good, really enjoyed it. It was really funny. It was mostly well written. I enjoyed the dialogue. I enjoyed the interaction between the characters. I thought all the characters were developed really well. Acting from especially Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling was fantastic. The set pieces were phenomenal. The movie starts out in Barbie land and really goes to town, showing you like what it's like playing with Barbies, like just the way the sets are designed and how people are interacting with the sets and moving. Even like Margot Robbie is phenomenal. It was just so good, and that really sold the joke and made it so good. One thing that I will say though is there was an obvious contrast that they were trying to portray between Barbie land and the real world, between like this cartoony action figure or doll world and then a real gritty kind of depressing world, whereas like people were acting like toys in the fake world, and then people were acting obviously like real people in the real world. Coloring was a little less dramatic in the real world, like the saturation was turned up, there was a lot of pink, a lot of neons, and then the real world that wasn't really there so much. But then people still kind of acted over the top, and it's like, if you were going to make that joke land better, you should have committed more to that bit. Sorry, I'm gonna roll down some windows. It's hot in here, so it's about to get a lot louder. and I'm sorry for that. There's a scene, I'm pretty sure they even showed it in the trailer, where she's running through the Mattel Corporation and people are jumping trying to catch her, and it's cartoony, and intentionally so. Like, they were trying to make it look goofy and over the top, like people almost like dance choreography almost, in the way that they're jumping at her and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that was funny and I enjoyed that. I thought it was a good joke, but it compromises the integrity of the other joke, which goal was to show this is the real world and it's different than the fake Barbie world. So some of that didn't land. I will say also, this movie very clearly has a message behind it, and I enjoyed the message. I didn't always agree with how it was shown, because they are attempting to show that, you know, the real world has a lot of issues, and Barbie has attempted to rectify those issues by giving empowerment to women and showing women can do whatever they want. They can be the president, they can be astronauts, they can be all this, they can be that, and the patriarchy, in other words, is bad and it really hinders women, and that's all true. But the way they show it is kind of frustrating in times, because they do show that, but they also do a poor job of showing how it hurts men as well. And they say that, but it's like a one-line thing. And I get that the point of this is about the women, but if you're going toward equality, you're moving toward equality, you can't just say men ruin everything and women are the victims and then just move on from there, and then don't say anything else about how, you know, men are victimized as well. And I know, like I said, this is a Barbie movie. Its main goal is to be funny, but it is artistic and it is trying to make points that are philosophical and are genuine. So I'm not distracting from the point here. That is the point of the story. That is the point of the movie. And if that is the point of it, then I'm saying that it could have been said better. I mean, there was like a Chaplin-esque monologue in here. Like, think The Great Dictator, when Chaplin gets up and gives a speech about how war is terrible. They kind of do that about the patriarchy in this. And when I say kind of, they literally do that. There's a monologue, there's a speech given, and it's like, that worked in the 30s and the 40s. That doesn't really fly in 2023. Like, we have higher standards for how scripts are written nowadays. You could have done that through dialogue, or you could have done it through some sort of artistic expression. Just having a character stand there and give a monologue is so old-fashioned and so lame anymore that you kind of roll your eyes a little bit. I mean, I was in a packed-out theater and people were enjoying the movie, but during that speech, I heard somebody like fake snoring because it was boring and it was out of place and it didn't work. So like I said, this movie could have been great and it wasn't quite. It was still really good though. I think that the comedy was fantastic. I really enjoyed the comedy. I really enjoyed the acting, the visuals. The directing was fantastic. If this is any indicator of Greta Gerwig's filmmaking ability, her directing, her writing, her auteurism, I love her and I want to see everything else she's done. And like I said, Lady Bird's already been on my to-watch list. I'm going to check that out, but it made me also want to watch Little Women, even though I've already seen the other versions. Now I'm like, hey, I'll check that one out. Plus, I think Florence Pugh's in it. I love her. It was really good. It's definitely, like, unless this movie ends up being one of the best years of film, I'm pretty sure that it's going to end up on my top 10 movies of the year list. I really genuinely enjoyed it, and I never thought I'd say that about a Barbie movie, but yeah, this movie was really good. I will say that the opening scene of this movie is that 2001: A Space Odyssey parody, and it's like, that was really good and I really enjoyed that, but it's like, I wish that wasn't in the trailer then, because imagine going into this movie not knowing that and then bam, that's the opening of the movie. Oh man, I would have been rolling. And there was definitely, you know, jokes in there that were a surprise and had me going. I really enjoyed the writing. I really thought it was hilarious, but that would have been a great opening to not see coming. It would have been fantastic. But I'm going to get into spoilers for a little bit here, but like I said, that's what I thought. I'd probably give it a 7.5. I really enjoyed it. You should go see it. If you were wondering if it was good or not, you were kind of on the fence, just go see it. It is enjoyable. It was a lot of fun, but I am going to get into spoilers now. So if you don't want anything spoiled, please go see it first, then come back and we can talk about it then. Thanks guys, bye. So spoilers. Like I said, the main message of this movie is, you know, okay, well, so Barbie Land is this perfect utopia, so to speak, for Barbies, and everything's perfect, nothing ever goes wrong, they float around, and they can just, they never eat, they never drink, everything's perfect all the time. But then things start to go wrong, and she realizes it's because of something happening in the real world, so she has to go to the real world, and Ken tags along with her. When he comes to the real world, he sees how different it is, and he sees, oh, men are empowered here, I like this, and he takes it back to Barbie Land, and he ruins Barbie Land by making it this really over-the-top, stupid patriarchy, where everything is stupid, everything is just egotistical and manly, and women have no value anymore. And so then Barbie comes back and realizes that's what happened, and now she has to fix it and save it. And she does agree that it wasn't perfect before, and they have a couple throwaway lines about that, but it's like they really emphasized how terrible the real world is and how it treats women, but when it comes to how terrible the men were treated, the Kens, because they're all Kens except for Alan, they really gloss over that. And it's like, well, you were treating Ken in that world how women are treated in the real world, and you just gloss right over it because it's men and it's done for comedic purposes. And it's like, that's kind of disappointing, because they say, like, okay, well, Kens need to be treated better, like we need them to be involved in like politics. And one of the Kens goes like, oh, we can have a Ken on the Supreme Court, and they're like, no. And it's like, oh, okay, haha, very funny. You're still being sexist, you're still being demeaning. And then they have another joke about like, maybe one day Kens will be treated as well as women are treated in the real world. And it's like, okay, once again, haha, funny joke. You're defeating your own purpose there by being sexist toward them. So it's a little frustrating. Like I said, there's a couple things in there that just kept this movie from being great, because if they could have shown both sides equally, it would have been fantastic. Like, they start to get into how Ken doesn't have value outside of his girlfriend, his job, all these things. It's like, if we could have really developed that and delved into that more, that would have been awesome. And I get it, Barbie was more of the point, and so we spent a lot more focus and time and energy on that. But it felt like a missed opportunity to really bring it all together and make that something powerful and something amazing instead of just a one-sided story. I will say, though, they did a really good job representing Barbie outside of that monologue, which, like I said, was frustrating. But granted, the monologue was given by that mother from the real world, and I said I hated everything with them. They were just bad and not good. Even in the joking, there was really good subtle ways of talking about Mattel, talking about the patriarchy, talking about different things. Like, at one point, they're trying to figure out how to fix things at the end. And Will Ferrell plays the CEO of Mattel in this. And one of them suggests, why don't we make a Barbie that's just a normal woman? Like, she's not anything, because they don't need to be expectations. There don't need to be things she has to live up to. And he goes, that's a terrible idea. And then one guy behind him goes, actually, that would really do well. That would sell a lot of toys. And he goes, actually, it's fantastic. And it's like, exactly, that is Mattel. That is any brand, that's any market, that's any company. They don't care about setting a precedent, they care about making money. That's why, during Gay Pride Month, all the companies have rainbow logos, and then they immediately take it down, because they're just doing whatever their algorithm tells them will make the most money. And so that's how they showed that, and I did enjoy that. And then also at the end of the movie, we have this whole thing about Margot Robbie's Barbie becoming like a real woman, because she's sick of being the stereotypical Barbie. So she decides she wants to be a real woman, and she's trying to decide what that means for her. And so you've got the scene where she's walking into a building in the real world, and you think, oh, she's gonna work at Mattel, or she's gonna do this, she's going to change the world, she's gonna do something. And then it's just her going into a doctor's office, getting her appointment, and it's this triumphant, like, I am a woman, because she is a woman now. And sometimes that is all it is to be a woman, is to be a woman. You don't need to succeed, you don't need to live up to expectations, you don't need to do anything. You just need to embrace who you are and exist. And I did enjoy that, because yes, you do want to empower women. Women should have places in politics, in the workforce, in doctor's office. They should be in all these things, but they also shouldn't feel pressured to do that if they don't want to. Like, yes, it's empowering to be a woman because, like, you're a mother, but you don't have to be a mother. It's empowering to be a woman because you can do whatever job, but you don't have to do that job. just, it is enough to be you. And that is also what they are getting into with the Kens, because they said, I am Ken, that is who I am, like Ken is me. That was kind of like his reality, that was his learning, was I am Ken, and that is enough. In fact, actually, he has a hoodie in the movie that says, I am Kenough. And I'm like, I want that hoodie. That was a really good hoodie. But yeah, it's just like, I think that more than anything was the takeaway message from this, is simply being is enough. You don't have to be part of whatever system is in place, whether it's the patriarchy, whether it's the matriarchy that the Barbies originally had. It's not about that. It's not about succeeding by whatever terms are set up there. It is just being you, and that is enough. And so that's a really good point. And I just wish some of the things had been said a little bit better. And maybe on a second watch, I will like it better in how they said some things, because I'll be honest, I was a little distracted because at certain points this movie wasn't what I expected. The whole sidetracking with like the mom and the daughter caught me completely off guard. I didn't know we were going to go in that direction, and I didn't like it. Maybe I'll like it more, like I said, on a rewatch, but it just wasn't what I wanted, wasn't what I expected, and so maybe that's why I'm being harsher on it. I will also say that is where some of the weaker writing is, because like there's this thing where she has to find the person that was playing with her in the real world. That's like her goal when she gets to the real world. And so she goes and like meditates, and she has this vision of this girl, and she goes, oh, that's the girl. And then you've got this quick other scene about this other woman who is writing or drawing these Barbies, and they're all the symptoms that she had. So I was like, oh, that's clever. The twist is it's not the daughter, it's the mother. And then that's then revealed like in the next 10 minutes. It's not like a big plot reveal. It's not a big twist or anything. It's just like, yep, and there it is. And I was like, oh, well, you could have built that up. You could have made that clever. You could have done something interesting with that. But no, it's just, oh yeah, and that's that. You were wrong. Oops, but it's this thing, and then we're moving on. It felt like an afterthought. It felt like something that was probably bigger in an earlier version of the script, but on rewrites it got condensed down and was like, well, that's just now kind of a pointless plot point now that didn't need to happen. So a couple of issues there, but like I said, nothing major, nothing preventing this movie from being really good, just enough little things to prevent it from being great, but still really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny, especially the Ken stuff. All the stuff with the Kens was really, really funny. I mean, they had like this big fight scene, but it ended up just being like a dance scene, and which was, I did find intriguing, and I wondered if this was on purpose, but it's like, when the women were having these emotional breakthroughs and intellectual thoughts and stuff, it was presented through dialogue, monologuing, and, you know, very proper, very to the point. When the guys were having their moments, it was through these musical numbers and dance numbers, and I was like, that's kind of taking it and flipping it on its head, because even when women would have empowering moments in movies in the past, it's generally through a song number talking about their feelings, and here we are having the Kens talking about, I'm more than this, I am enough, I am this, and we're doing it through a song number, and the women are having, like I said, that Charlie Chaplin-esque monologue. So yeah, it was interesting. I really enjoyed the filmmaking. It was very intelligently made, very intelligently made. It had a lot of homage to a lot of old movies beyond just obviously 2001, but you could tell the people that made it are just fans of film, and so I really enjoyed that because I'm a film lover, so I noticed things like that and I enjoy things like that. Oh, there was also just, the dialogue was good, the comedy was on point, especially like I said in that first half hour to 45 minutes, phenomenal. They get into like this little fight at the beach and they all start talking about like, well, I'm gonna beat you off, no, I'm gonna beat you off, we're gonna have a beach off, we're gonna beach off everybody. It's like, that dialogue was just hilarious. And then Ken wants to impress Barbie, so he goes running out to surf a wave, and he just hits right into the wave because it's plastic. So then they pull him onto the beach, and then an ambulance comes in, but instead of it being a normal ambulance, it's the Barbie toy, so it splits open and becomes like a hospital room. Like, that was just, I enjoyed stuff like that. Like, that was so well done. Really, really enjoyed that. Like I said, the comedy, the writing, acting, directing, all around. I mean, even from the coloring, like how they saturated different scenes versus others, costume design, I loved all of that. It was one of the most enjoyable movies of the year. Like I said in the beginning, in the non-spoiler section, I definitely recommend it. If you're on the fence, you should check it out. I kind of wish I saw this with some other guys, but it just didn't work with scheduling. Eric will be with me for Oppenheimer, so you'll see him whenever we get to that video. But yeah, No, that was good. I really enjoyed this movie. So that's what I had to think. What did you guys think, though? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, share. If you're new here, subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye. And fuck you, Mattel.